The horrors of medieval torture, the cruelty of the Inquisition. To extract confessions, whether for crimes committed or not, Inquisitor torturers were willing to employ the most horrifying methods. The Middle Ages are widely known for their gruesome torture devices, which shock with their brutality, inhumanity, and sheer ingenuity in causing suffering. Desperate to escape the unbearable pain, victims were willing to confess to anything, as enduring such torment was simply impossible. Torture was often conducted publicly, serving as a tool of intimidation and terrorizing the population. Let's examine some of the most severe forms of torture, ones whose cruelty knows no limits. The Pear of Anguish. This device, shaped like a pear, was inserted into the vagina of a sinful woman, or the anus of a condemned homosexual, causing unbearable agony. A screw mechanism gradually expanded the metal petals of the device, literally tearing apart the delicate flesh from the inside. The rack. One of the most widely used forms of torture. The accused was bound to a wooden frame by their hands and feet, and their limbs were slowly pulled in opposite directions, gradually tearing muscles, tendons, and cartilage apart, causing excruciating pain. To further increase suffering, the frame was sometimes fitted with sharp spikes that dug into the victim's back. These were often coated with salt to intensify the agony. The Brazen Bull. In this method, the victim was placed inside a bronze chamber shaped like a raging bull. A fire was then lit beneath it. The person inside would either burn alive or suffocate from the intense heat. Later, simpler cement chambers replaced the bronze bull, but the nature of the torture remained unchanged. The Breast Ripper. This brutal torture was reserved for women suspected of adultery. A claw-like metal device, heated to extreme temperatures, was clamped onto the victim's breasts, tearing into the flesh. If the woman survived, she would be left permanently disfigured as a reminder of her sin. Breaking on the wheel, Catherine wheel. A widely used execution method where the victim was bound to a large wooden wheel and spun while their limbs were systematically broken. This method caused unbearable pain as the bones were shattered, leaving the victim in prolonged agony before death. The Head Crusher. This device targeted the skull. The victim's head was placed under an iron cap and a screw mechanism was gradually tightened. The intense pressure first shattered the jaw and knocked out teeth, then crushed the eye sockets, forcing the eyeballs out, and finally cracked the skull itself. Judas Cradle. Also known as the Judas Chair, this method of execution was among the most excruciating. The victim was gradually lowered onto a tall, sharp iron pyramid. The pointed tip penetrated the anus or vagina, depending on the victim's gender. The resulting wounds were massive, often leading to a slow and agonizing death. The Spanish Donkey. This device consisted of a long wooden beam shaped like a triangular wedge mounted on legs. The victim, stripped naked, was forced to sit on the sharp edge, which painfully dug into their body. To make the suffering even more unbearable, weights were tied to their legs, increasing the pressure on the groin and causing severe injuries. The Iron Coffin. A victim was locked inside a human-shaped iron cage, unable to move. If the cage was too small for the victim's height, their body was bent and crushed into the restrictive space, causing additional agony. Death was slow and horrific. Passers-by would often throw stones at the victim, while birds pecked at their exposed flesh. Water torture. One of the most psychologically tormenting methods. The victim was restrained in a chair with their head fixed in place. Above them, a container resembling an IV drip was positioned, releasing water drop by drop onto their forehead. At first, it seemed harmless, but over time, the continuous dripping caused excruciating mental distress. The unrelenting sensation of water striking the same spot drove victims to insanity. The cruelty of the Inquisition knew no limits. People were roasted on iron griddles, boiled alive, subjected to unbearable heat or freezing cold. The infernal suffering of the victims was boundless, and death became an ever-present and routine occurrence. But here we are, still alive and moving forward. Keep watching more videos on my channel, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Wishing you all the best.